Hello and welcome back to the lecture series for the preparation of CLAT examination. In this particular lecture series, we are discussing the legal reasoning portion of your CLAT syllabus, which we have focused over the different legislations that has been often asked in the CLAT examination. We have till now completed the law of contracts, which we have completed all the important provisions which may be asked in your CLAT examinations. Apart from that, we have discussed in a detailed manner what exactly is the penal provisions under the criminal law. As you must know that recently there has been some changes that has been brought about in the criminal structure of the criminal legislative structure of our country. And they have perhaps instead of the old provisions of Indian Penal Code, Code of Criminal Procedure, and Indian Evidence Act, there has been new amendments and new legislation that has been brought about by the government, by the central government. Now we are talking about Bharatiya Nyayak Sanhita, Bharatiya Nagrik Suraksha Sanhita, and the Indian Evidence Act is also converted into Bharatiya Nagrik Sanhita. So BNSS, BNS, and BNSC is something that we are now going to deal. Uh, when we talk about the criminal laws. So, in our upcoming videos, we will be discussing what exactly is the difference that has been brought forward in the Indian Penal Code. It is not like that those persons who have studied the Indian Penal Code will now have to start from the very beginning, because the provisions perhaps are almost the same. That we have already studied in our lectures during your Indian Penal Code and other discussions regards to criminal law. But certainly the sections has now been renamed. So instead of you getting the provisions of murder under section 302, now you will get it under section 99. So these are the different changes that has been brought. We will be discussing it in a detailed manner, but that is something which is not relevant for us in today's discussion. In today's discussion, we will be focusing over the important portions of the constitution. We will be focusing our mindset over how to remember the parts of the constitution, because this is something very important. Because whenever there is a question that will be put forward in front of you, that under which part of the constitution you will find citizenship, under which article you will find the fundamental rights, under which part you will find fundamental rights, under which part you will find fundamental duties. So it becomes perhaps very difficult for anybody to remember in a very crisp, crystal and clear manner that what exactly under which part the things has been mentioned. So it's important for us to remember the parts. So there is a quick method, or if I may, a terminology that is often used in order to remember the parts of the constitution. That is what we're going to discuss. After that, we will be discussing about the borrowed part of the constitution. This is also very important in regards to your competitive examinations. That has been often asked that from which country, of which constitution, or which country's constitution we have taken the direct principles of state policy. And these questions are often asked in your competitive examination, so one has to gather that particular knowledge also, where which they get a clear idea that okay, if you're talking about the rule of law, from where we have taken the rule of law, and from where we have incorporated the fundamental rights, and from where do we talk about the separation of powers. So these are some things that you need to remember, because they will be asked, this will often be asked in your paper. Then we will be discussing about the election procedure under part 15 of the constitution. We will be discussing it from article 326. We will be discussing article 323. We will be discussing about the important provisions which talks about the election procedure in India. Then post that, we will be studying about the emergency provision, which talks about three types of emergency that can be made applicable in India. One is through armed rebellion. One is armed rebellion. Second, or it can also be a war or external aggression. External aggression. So external aggression, armed or armed rebellion, or then you have constitutional breakdown of state machinery. What exactly is the procedure there? And the third one is financial emergency. So till now, India has never seen financial emergency, but they have seen the constitutional breakdown of state emergency. It is a common phenomenon that takes place every now and then. And then we are talking about external aggression, war, or armed rebellion when there is a foreign invasion. The same way there was an invasion of on Afghanistan by Taliban. The same way, if there is any sort of aggression over one particular country, then it will be considered as an emergency. So which provisions talks about armed rebellion, which provisions talks about financial emergency, all of these things we will be discussing in today's lecture series. Okay, so let's move forward and let's try to understand that how can we remember the parts of the constitution in such a way that it will be very easier for you to retain it for your better understanding, and you will be able to solve questions very easily. Okay, so let's try to write down this particular statement for your better understanding, and that is, you can do fixed deposit from United States, United States finance using premature companies special rate. Okay, so there can be other terminology which you may use, but this is perhaps the only and the easiest method to remember the important portions or the provisions of the constitutions, because perhaps you will not be able to retain every now and then. Even if you retain it, then there might be some chances of you getting derailed or on you marking the wrong answer. So it is always advised that you find out some mnemonics or short terms or shorthands for your better understanding and better retention. So we'll try to understand why we have mentioned it. Let's take the first one. Now you have seen that it has been written you. You can mention it as you also, like this also, right? This is a you. Yes. So why we are mentioning you here? Because our part one of the constitution says union and its territories. So from part one, what we mention is that you is the part that we have used to understand part one. Now, in the same way, part two talks about what? Part two talks about citizenship. Yes. So part two, which talks about citizenship. So you can. From can, we understood citizenship. Now, the third one is, we will ignore the do part. You can do, we will ignore the do part, and we can see the third portion being fixed. F. So the third part, which talks about fundamental rights. In the same way, part 4 of the constitution talked about directive principles of state policy. So directive principles of state policy has been discussed under the part 4 of the constitution. In the same manner, part 5 of the constitution, which talks about fundamental duties, that is part 4a. I'm so sorry, part 4a. So part 4a of the constitution talks about fundamental duties. So fundamental duties has been mentioned from the from portion of the mnemonic or the shorthand that we have used. In the same manner, When we talk part 5 of the Constitution, it is talking about the Union. And part 6 of the Constitution is talking about the states. So part 5 is the Union and part 6 is the states. Now it is talking about Union, states, and then we have F again, finance, United States, finance. Okay, United States finance, this is the 7th one, and it is a little bit trickier for understanding. Perhaps you can change it according to your needs and understanding, and that is the states that has been mentioned under the F, finance, F first. So the states under the first schedule. States under the first schedule. And then after finance, you have using. And using, where which we will use U as the mnemonic for our better understanding, which is on the part 8, which talks about union territories. These are all the parts of the Constitution, whatsoever we have studied. We are talking about union territory, we are talking about citizenship, fundamental rights, directives of state policies, fundamental duties, union, states under the first schedule, and the union territories. And after that we have premature, where which P represents the panchayat and M represents the municipalities. Okay, so this is ninth portion of the Constitution. Let's better if we write it in numerical form, so it will be better understood by you guys. So it is, we can mention it like this. This is fundamental duties. You will find it in 4A, right? Then you have 5th part, which talks about the union. You have the 6th part, which talks about the state. 7th part, which talks about the states under its first schedule. And the 8th part, which talks about the union territories. I hope you have marked this particular point. And now we are moving forward. Let's see what exactly part 8 of the Constitution says. Let's draw a line. And here, if we see that, then part 9 talks about panchayats, and part 9A talks about municipalities and panchayats. And in the same way, 9A, 9B, which talks about cooperative societies, and then you have S, part 10 of the Constitution, which talks about scheduled castes and scheduled tribes. And then the 11th part 11, talks about relation between union and states. So this is how, by using this particular story, you can remember all the parts up to part 11 of the Constitution. You can remember each and every part in a very crisp, clear and short manner, and you will be able to retain it for a longer period of time. So the mnemonic says that you can do fixed deposit from United States finance using premature cooperative special rates. You can do fixed deposit from United States finance using premature cooperative special rates, and it will help you in order to remember what? It will help you in remembering till part 11 of the Constitution. So first 11 parts we have studied, and we are able to understand by using this mnemonic of You can do fixed deposit from US finance using premature cooperative special rates. We can remember till part 5. So U stands for union, C stands for citizenship, F stands for fundamental rights, D stands for directive principles of state policy, F stands for fundamental duties. Then you have U for union, S for states. Then F stands for the first schedule. U stands for union territories. P stands for panchayats. M stands for municipalities. C stands for cooperative societies, stand for CO. Special rates, S stand for scheduled caste and scheduled tribe, and R stands for relation between the union and the states. So this is how we have able to complete the first 11 portions, or if I would say the first 11 part of the constitution. And now what we are going to study is another way of returning the part from part 12 till part 22, how we are going to remember it. So what we will do is we will first divide the portions in such a manner that we will be studying from part 12 till part 17. How you're going to retain it? We are going to remember this point here, that Flipkart has Tata Sky set top on exchange with special offer. Okay, so what will it represent? Let's see to it. Let's see, the first point is F. The first point is F, Flipkart F. And part 12 of the constitution, part 12 of the constitution talks about finance, property, contracts, and suits. In the same way, part 13 talks about trade, commerce, etc., which we can see through the T portion of the Tata Sky. Then part 14 talks about services under union and state. We are talking about Union Public Service Commission and State Public Service Commission. And then you have part 14A. Part 14A, which is talking about the tribunals. Then you have part 15. Part 15, that is something that we will be studying today itself. Part 15, which talks about the election. How will the election takes place in India? Then you have part 16, which, so when we talk about article 14, this is Tata Sky, this is T from here. Then you have set top box services, T for tribunals, so we take the T here. And on exchange, so E represents election with special offers. So when we talk about special offers, so we will take special as special itself, special provisions relating to certain special provisions relating to certain states. And then you have Article 17, which we are talking about O offer, which is talking about the official language. Official language. So you can see that by using these type of mnemonics, it becomes perhaps very easy for any candidate to retain and remember what are the important parts of the constitution. So let's move forward and let's try to understand what mnemonic we can use or shorthand we can use in order to remember the remaining portion of the or the parts of the constitution. So here we have used two shorthands or the story where which all the parts has been covered till part 17 of the constitution. We have talked about that you can do fixed deposit from United States finance using premature cooperative special rates. This is the first one to remember till article 11. Then you have the second one, which is talking about Flipkart has Tata Sky set top on an exchange with special offer. So this is how by using these type of mnemonics, it becomes easier for the candidate to retain it. I perhaps would suggest you to, if you want to make your own, you can make your own. But it is important for you to at least summarize some way forward so that it becomes easier for you to remember the articles, the parts, especially the parts of the constitution. And the last one is eat Maggie as a tasty snack. Okay, so we take eat Maggie as a tasty snack. EMATS, where which E stands for emergency provisions, which has been explained in detail under part 18 of the constitution. There you have miscellaneous, which has been dealt under part 19 of the constitution. Then you have A, which talks about amendments, which has been talked under the part 20 of the constitutions. Then you have temporary, transitional, and special provisions. Abrogation of Article 370, which was giving special status to Jammu and Kashmir, has been part of the constitution under this particular part itself. And then you have the last one, snack, S, which talks about short title and commencement. So in majority of the legislations, you find short title and commencement the very first part of that particular legislation. But in regards to constitution, it has been perhaps the last part where which it has been mentioned. And this is also talking about the repeals that has been done in the constitution itself. And this is the part 22 of the constitution. So this is how you can make your own story, and you can try to remember and retain for perhaps a longer period of time what are the different parts of the constitution. And it becomes very easier also whenever you're going to solve the paper, that the provisions are clearly, you will remember the chronology of these provisions and the parts also, and you will be able to remember every part in a very crystal clear and precise manner. All you need to do is for parts 1 to 11, you can use fixed deposit from US finance using premature cooperative special rates. For part 12 to part 17, you can use Flipkart has Tata Sky set top on exchange with special offers. And then the last one, which talks about Article 18 to Article 22, which talks about eat Maggie as a tasty snack, which talks about emergency provisions, miscellaneous, amendment, temporary transitional positions, and short titles. So by this manner, you will be able to recall not only the parts, but exactly how they have been arranged under the provisions of the constitution. So we are able to we were able to understand that how we are going to remember the different parts of the constitutions. Now we will be focusing over the borrowed parts of the constitutions, which are important for the retention, because there will be direct questions that will be put forward in front of you when you will be uh, attempting the question paper. So it becomes very important for us to retain from where these parts has been taken. So we have taken from numerous countries, we have taken different parts, and that is what we are going to study in this particular lecture. I suppose your screen is visible to you. Okay. So with this, we will be starting with the second portion of the lecture series, where which we will discussing about the borrowed part of the constitutions. In this particular video, in this particular lecture, we will be discussing the different parts which has made the constitution in a very detailed and very beautifully crafted document or legislations. So we will try to understand by seeing through it that what are the different parts that we have incorporated from the different provisions of the for the different provisions of the constitution. So let's start. Let's start our video by understanding the following provisions. I suppose my screen is visible. Okay, so this is what we have discussed in our previous video, in our previous lecture series, that how we are going to retain the different provisions of the constitutions. And now let's see that what we have borrowed from Russia. From Russia, we have borrowed the fundamental duties, which has been talked about under part 4A of the constitution. Idea of justice, that you find mentioned in the preamble of social, economic, and political justice. This is something that we have incorporated from Russia. Okay. So these are the different countries from which we have incorporated different things in our constitution. So we need to remember them. Okay. Let's highlight it so that you can remember it. Okay. So from Russia, what we have taken the idea of justice, that is social, political, and economic justice, and also we have taken the fundamental duties that has been mentioned under part 4A of the constitution. Then comes Canada. So from Canada also we have taken numerous things. We have taken federation, that is federalism, with strong central government. So if you have been a student of the constitution, you have by far understood that constitution of India also provides perhaps a little bit more powers to the central government in comparison to the state government, and that has been taken as a reference from Canada. From Canada, we have taken this particular thing, that the constitution should be made in such a way that the central government has more power as compared to the state government. Then the advisory jurisdiction of Supreme Court under Article 143 has also been taken from the Canada Constitution. So these are the different things that obviously will be asked in your question paper in a different manner, and that is why it becomes very important for you to retain these small but very useful information. That from Canada, what we have incorporated federalism with strong central government, and advisory jurisdiction of the Supreme Court has also been taken from Canada. Then we move to Australia. From Australia, From Australia, from Australia, we have incorporated the concurrent list, the list which has been mentioned under the schedule, which talks about those areas where which both the central government and the state government can make lists. That type of list is known as concurrent list. There are perhaps three type of list. One is the union list, the list or the topics on which the only the central government can make laws, that is the union list. Then you have the state list on which the states can make the provisions, the laws. And then you have a concurrent list on which the both the state government as well as the central government, or basically if I would precisely say, the central legislature and the state legislature can make laws. So the provisions of the concurrent list and freedom of trade and commerce, freedom of trade and commerce has been taken from the Australian Constitution. So this is also something which is very useful for you to remember. There might be questions where which you will be directly asked that from the Australian Constitution, what have we incorporated? And students often forget that these are the things which has been incorporated from the different countries. So for the first three, I suppose the things are clear to you. Let's move forward and let's see that from the other constitution, what all we have taken so far. So let's talk about France now. From France also, we have incorporated a lot of things. The idea of liberty, equality, and fraternity has been incorporated through France. So this is something you need to remember. Then you have Japan. From Japan also, we have incorporated a lot of things, and that is procedure established by law. Procedure established by law and notwithstanding clause. You must have seen that on various instances you find this word notwithstanding. So from where we have taken this? Which constitution talks about notwithstanding clause? It is perhaps the Japan constitution which talks about the notwithstanding clause, which says that apart from the things that has been mentioned so far, nothing will be made applicable. So this is the notwithstanding clause which we have taken from Japan. And from France, we have incorporated the ideas of liberty, equality, and fraternity. So these are the two things that you need to take into you need to retain whenever you are solving the questions of CLAT examination for your preparation point of view. Okay. Yes, I suppose the things are clear to you. Now let's move forward and let's discuss the two important countries which has provided perhaps the majority of the the majority of the portions that has been taken from these two countries. First being Britain. So from Britain, we have taken a lot of things. We have taken the writs. We have talked about the right to constitutional remedy. Constitutional remedy. Then we have incorporated parliamentary form of government. Then single citizenship. Then most important, rule of law and parliamentary privileges, which shall be given to any member who has been the member of the parliament, shall be given such privileges as has been mentioned and which has been incorporated through Britain. Apart from that, apart from that, uh, we have also incorporated various things from Ireland also. Ireland also. From Ireland, we have incorporated director principles of state policy, which has been mentioned under part 4 of the constitution. Then method of election of president. Method of election of president has been taken from Ireland. Then members nominated in upper house has also been dealt under by the provisions which has been incorporated from the Ireland constitution. So these are the small things, but yet very important things that you need to remember. Then from Germany also we have taken a lot of things. Let's see what we have taken from Germany. From Germany, we have incorporated the suspension of fundamental right during emergency. Okay. Apart from that, we have taken from South Africa. From South Africa, we have taken the amendment procedure. And upper house members election process. So this has been taken from South Africa. So I suppose you are able to see the screen also, and you are able to understand that what are the things that we have taken from South Africa, what are the things that we have taken from Germany, what are the things that we have taken from Ireland, Britain, Ireland, etc. And now let's see to it that what have we taken from United States of America. That is also important because United States of America has provided us with a lot of things. If you talk about the Constitution itself, United States of America. Okay, so there were some technical issues because of which the problem went through. We were discussing about United States of America. United States of America. So from United States of America, we have taken the fundamental rights, which is very important for every constitution. And then apart from that, we have taken the procedure of parliamentary debates. So these are the two things that we have taken from United States of America. Apart from that, we have taken a lot of things also that one needs to remember. And we are, if we talk about judicial review also, judicial review has also been taken from United States of America. Then you have impeachment of president. Impeachment of president has also been taken from United States of America. Then you have removal of High Court and Supreme Court judges has also been taken from America. So America and Britain has provided the majority of the things which we still see in our constitution. And why is it important for anybody to remember it? Because we need to understand that how the Constitution of India is being made by taking into reference not only a single constitution, but rather the majority of the constitution that has been that were present at the time of the establishment of the constitution. So we have taken all the important points, all the better provisions from different states. We have analyzed them, we have understood them, and only after understanding and by making some alterations, the Constituent Assembly brought forward these provisions in our constitution. So it is important to know from which place, or the what is the origin of these fundamental rights, and in order to understand it and in order to remember that provisions has been taken from which place, we need to know what exactly is their origin. So after understanding that from which constitution we have borrowed what thing, you can correlate depending after analyzing their way of living and our way of living, that how it is going to impact the society at large. So that is why it becomes very important for you to remember all the borrowed parts of the constitutions and from where that has been taken forward. With this, we have completed the second portion of the video or the lecture series, which is talking about the borrowed part of the constitution. In the upcoming videos, we will be talking about the election procedure, that is how the election takes place in our country, and post that we will be talking about the emergency provisions of the constitutions. With this, we will be completing the constitutional portion of the legal reasoning area of the CLAT examinations, and then we will be focusing over the intellectual property rights and obviously the Hindu laws and the Mohammedan laws, which talks about the marriages. Post that, we will be moving forward with the revision of all the important provisions of the legislations that we have to deal in our CLAT preparation for the legal reasoning. And then we will start with our question answers. We will be discussing all the mock examinations. We will discuss the important questions that will be asked in your paper, and using that how the questions will be put forward in front of you, you can analyze that what are the important areas that we need to retain. So with that, I would like to thank you all for being present in this video lecture session, and I would request you all to kindly continue with your practice. And it is very important for you to remember the parts of the constitution and from which parts has been taken from which areas. Okay.